Hello, everyone. So I'll read some of the questions from the AMC 1012 today. So this is the first one. So the first question we have, Mrs. Jones pouring the orange juice into 4 identical glasses for her 4 sons. Okay. And she fills the first 3 glasses completely, but the fourth one will be 1/3 full. What fraction of the glass must she pour from each of those first 3 glasses into the fourth one so that all 4 glasses will have the same amount of juice? Okay, so let's start with this. Like, if, let's say complete full is gonna represented by one, like let's say like 100%, and then this is 100%, and then the fourth one will be 1/3 full, right? And we are gonna take some fractional piece of these three and then put it into this guy, and then all 4 has to be equal. So let's assume that is gonna be X amount. Okay, X, like X is a fraction basically. So if you take the X out of this, okay, so we are gonna get 1 minus X left right here, and then 1 minus X left right here, 1 minus X left right here. Since we are taking X from each of these three, so you're adding 3X to the fourth one, so that should be 3X plus 1/3. So these 4 things has to be equal to each other. So let's make them equal. And that would be 3X plus 1/3. And if you solve this equation, so you will get 4X equals 1 minus 1/3, which is 2/3, and divide by 4. So the X is gonna be 2/12, which is 1/6. Okay, so that looks like choice C. So we can check this answer by maybe making some concrete numbers, like if you really want to make sure that's the correct answer. So if you are taking 1/6 of the first 3 glasses, let's assume we have 6 units on the first 3 at the beginning. If this is the full amount, 1/3 will be 2, right? So again, this is the original amount if you want to go with the whole numbers. And if you take the 1/6 of this guy, you're gonna left with 5. You are gonna left with 5. You are gonna left with 5. And so you're gonna get 1 out of this, 1 out of this, 1 out of this, which is 3 in total. So if you add this 3 to this guy, so you will get 2 plus 3, which is 5. As you see, these 5s all equal. So that looks like this is good. So if you couldn't come up with this idea or this idea, you can just look at the choices, and based on choice, you can just start with some numbers like that to get what you want as well. Okay, so that's the first number. The second question, let's see what we have. So this is the second question, was given on both tests actually. Carlos went to sport, okay, and then there was a the prices reduced by 20% on every pair of shoes, but also he needs to pay 7.5% sales tax, and he has $43. And what is the original amount before the discount? He has he could actually afford to buy. Okay, so like let's start with that amount as X. If you have a 20% discount, we are paying actually 80%, which is 0.8 times. So the original is what you are gonna pay, because 80% is 8/100, which is 0.8. So if you multiply by this X, so you are gonna see this is the 80% of the original amount. But you're gonna pay 7.5% tax, so you're gonna find it 7.5% of this added to this guy, which is basically 1 plus 7.5%, which is gonna be over 100. And I hope that makes sense. So the one is the 100%. So if you wanna add 7.5%, so you're gonna actually pay 107.5%. Okay. And then this result is gonna be 43. So it looks like a bit fancy looking equation, especially with our calculator, but let's see if we can make this a bit easier. So the X times, I will say X times 8/10 or 4/5. Okay. And then this is gonna be like, I can just say this is gonna be like 1 plus 7.5. So let's simplify this a bit. So 75/1000, if you multiply by 100, divide by 25, which is 3, divide by 25, which is gonna be 40, and that would be just 3/40. but this was 1 plus that guy, so 1 plus 3 over 40 is actually 43 over 40, so which is really nicer, so 43 over 40, and this is equal to 43. And these guys will cancel. I hope that makes sense, because when you do cross multiplication, these two numbers will be on the other side of the equation. So you can just divide both sides by those two, which is going to cancel each other. And then these guys will cancel. So you got x over 50 equals 1, which makes x is 50. So, which is really nice, because we got the answer from the choices. That's one thing. And second thing, it's a nice number to check our answer. And if you couldn't find the solution somehow by using algebraic manipulation like this, then you could have just started with the choices as well, because that was a bit easier to go from the original number. So if you have no idea, you can just start with the numbers that you can deal with easily, which is like 20% of the 50 is much better. So if you do 20% of this, which is 1/5, you're gonna pay $10 lesser than this, which will give me $40. And then if you're gonna pay 7.5%, you can find 7.55% of this guy, which is gonna be 3. So you will get 43, which is something to check. Okay. So that was the number 2. So that wasn't too bad either. So let's look at the number 3. And this is a geometry question. It says we have 3, 4, 5 triangle inscribed in a circle, and 5, 12, 13 is also inscribed in a circle B, and the ratio of the area of those two circles. So I'm not sure if you remember, like in 10A, we had a number 17, which was like a bit challenging looking, but that was the question, was just testing the Pythagorean triples. I think this is also the same thing, because we have like 3, 4, 5 and 5, 12, 13. Those are Pythagorean triples, and that is really nice to have. And if you have a triangle, okay, in a circle, and if this is a right triangle, okay, so that means the angle 90 degrees is gonna face to the diameter. So I hope that is something you know. And this is easier to prove, like this is gonna be 3 and 4, so that will be 5. So that should be 5 over 2 and 5 over 2. And then this even has a special name, so that is called like Taylor's theorem. So like when you have a triangle inside of the circle, if one angle is facing towards the diameter, that angle is 90 degrees. There are a couple of reasons we can explain, because this angle right here is 180 up measure. So this is the inscribed angle, has to be half of 180, which is 90. You can go with that. But there are some other ways to prove why this is 90, but we don't want to go into these details right now. So now we got the radius of the circle. If you want to draw the second one, so let's say this is circle A. And if you want to do the same thing, which you don't really need to draw it, but let's do it anyway. And if you do the similar approach, so you will get another triangle, which is also gonna be a right triangle. Again, if you don't remember those, you can test them. Like you can square 5 and 12 and add them to see if this is equal to square of this one, which is, so that is gonna make a right triangle. So this is gonna be 12, and this is 13 over 2, and this is also, and then this is circle B. So what we are looking is the ratio of the area of the circle A. Okay, so then the area of the circle A divided by B, right? So the area of the circle A is the pi times the radius square, which is 5 over 2 square, and pi times 13 over 2 square. And you don't really need to do this part, especially on the test, and especially when you know what you are doing. Even though I just draw these two figures, you don't have to do either. So cancel those, and then when you expand those, you will get over 4 over 4. Those will cancel. So you got 25 over 169, which is the choice D. Okay, so that was the number 3 on both tests. So let's see the next one. So then the fourth one, this is also on both tests. So the Jackson's paintbrush makes a narrow strip with the width of 6.5 millimeters. Okay, this is something new for some people, especially don't use these units. So it's something like this, I guess. And we are told that is 6.5 millimeters. So this is 6.5 millimeters. And Jackson has enough paint to make a strip of 25 meters long. So this is 25 meters long. How many square centimeter? Okay, be careful with the units. So which is why I like to highlight those. How many square centimeter, which means we are looking for the area of this region so we can know how much like paint we needed. But be careful with the units. So it says how many square centimeter. So 25 meter is gonna be 25 times 100. So which is gonna be 2500 centimeter. And the millimeter is just 1/10 of the centimeter. So you just need to divide this by 10 as well, which will be 0.65 centimeters. So it's kind of easier to convert those into the unit that we are looking and then find the area after. So the area of that I guess strip would be just to multiply those two numbers. So 2500 times 0.65, which is not too bad because, you know, if you have two zeros and then you have two digit after decimal point, when you multiply 100 by 0.65, that will be just 65 times 25. So you can just write this way. And then 25 is multiplied by 4 is 100. So I can actually write this number as 25 times 64 plus 25 times 1 to make like 65 25s. And this is like 16 times 4. If I take 4 multiplied by this, that's 100, 1600 basically. And then you got plus 25. So that looks like the answer is C. So I hope that makes sense. So it's just the conversion between those units. And the next question is actually on the 10B only. So that was the number 5. So two people see a list of numbers written on the blackboard, and Maddie adds 3 to each number in the list and finds the sum. The sum is 45, but Lara multiplies each number by 3 and add those new numbers to get the same result. How many numbers written there? Okay, so we don't really know how many numbers. I'm gonna call them like say A1, okay, A2, A3, all the way to the AN. So, and I'm gonna call this sum is M, okay? So if you add 3 to each of these numbers, so 3 plus this, 3 plus this, 3 plus this, since we have n numbers, we are actually adding 3 times n, but the sum of those numbers was already m. So when you add these, that should be 45. So again, the sum of these guys is m. I add 3 to this number, 3 to this number. So you add 3n times, which is going to be 3n. And the sum of those were already m. So that's going to be 45. And the second person, Lara, multiplies each number. So if you multiply these by 3, so you are just doing this. You are multiplying this by 3. So you are multiplying this by 3. When you multiply these by 3, the sum of those numbers will be just 3m. So 3m is gonna be 45, so which makes m to be 15. If m is 15, you plug it right here. So for like subtract 15 from both sides, 3n will be 30, so the n should be 10. And the n was the number of numbers in the list, so that looks like that's the 10. So I hope that makes sense. So this was the 5th question.